Hi, everyone. Welcome back again to the Iconist podcast. I am one of your hosts, Barry 3D. That's for Deep Dark Delicious. You can find more of me at barry3d.com. Very simple. See everything on there, right? And I'm here with my cousin, best friend, and co-host, my man,
DJ Rod C. Yes, you can find me on, Instagram at Mr. Rod C. But we'll get to that afterwards and everything like that. But hey, welcome to Icons. Welcome, people. We back. Part two.
Numéro 2. Le deuxième fois. Le deuxième partie. That's, well, as far as it goes from a French, it's, I have a crayon and it's rouge. Okay.
It's
Rouge. That's right. So we as you must watch, you watched part 1 of our review of, and I said, once again, spoilers.
Just saying.
Spoilers.
We're just going to say that. Did you hear? We just said spoilers? Okay. Spoilers.
Okay, we're good.
Okay.
If you've seen part 1, then you know part 2 is going to be spoilers, right? So we're going into the Masters of the Universe review. In part 1, we went over episodes 1, 2, 3. We touched. I got ahead of myself a bit on 4. We're going to recap 4 and do 5 and then give our final picks on that. And like usual, please, like, subscribe, share, and check out everybody else. We always talk about, first of all, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Jay Bird, Digital Arts, Jason. He does Jay Bird. He does all our templates. So he's got our templates. He's got our names at the bottom. Our logo. He's designed all that. Anything you're seeing that I'm usually part of, he's done some design definitely on that. And speaking of which, keep an eye out once again for the comedy troupe I'm a part of. So that's A Touch of Gray Matter. We have a whole bunch. We got like over 80 videos on our YouTube page. Please, check out my favorite pages at the bottom of this. Like, subscribe, share, and very important, hit the notification so this way you're notified when we drop a new video. Be it here, be it there, be it on the Barry 3D stuff, and definitely click on Twitch TV, so twitch.tv, DJ Rod C. Put him in your favorites. Check him out every Wednesday, Rod, you're out there?
Every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when I play. I got some other days I pop up as well on Mondays. But, you can definitely find me every week having fun. Come on down. The party's there. This is what we do.
Good times, right? That's what it is. And you don't even have to sit there and watch. The beauty is with this podcast. I mean, yes, it's on video, but you could just play it and then just listen to it as you drive to work, come home, do whatever. Listen to what we have to say in the background. Same thing with Twitch. You turn around, you don't have to watch Rod. Sometimes it's nice to see him, but you could let him DJ, play the music. You don't want to hear the same generic music that you put on every radio station. Tune into Twitch, see what these DJs are doing. You want to hear a remix? You want to hear some old school? You want to hear some house? House, right? You want to hear classic songs like Saturday Love? That's what you got to tune in for. And he knows.
I know Saturday Night Love. Wait, what? Don't worry about it.
That's right. That's right. So definitely, check out A Touch of Gray Matter. Check out the Facebook page. You can find all my links, all those links, definitely on Barry 3D. And I'm spreading the love. Also look out for my man, Jim Oldridge. I saw him last night. So by the time this video comes up, it's going to be a little bit too, but I saw him at a comedy show that he came out to support. He's going to be on soon. He goes by Jimmy English. He does Beyond the Balcony. So definitely go and check him out on Beyond the Balcony. Look for the microphone on the red background. It talks about all movies with guests. It's so much fun to listen to. True podcast. He's on season 2. And also check out my man, Paul Ash. He does BattleCom, which is a nerd game show. He does, They Talk Funny, which is an interview show that he does. And he does The Love Doctor, which is hilarious. So he brings on guests on there, and he puts on his Newfoundland accent comes out thick. So that's what we're doing. Got to show the love, man. Got to show the love. And then, David Green for the Garden City Comedy Festival. So anything else that way, I'm on there. You'll see it, look for it. And Rusty Nail Comedy, in Kitchener. So if you want to see me live, because some things are opening up, once again, go to the website, check it out. see where I'm going to be next.
For
I'm
it.
all the way from St. Catharines to Kitchener to Toronto Comedy Bar. I'm going to be there on August 14th, I believe it is. I was out in Brantford. So you can see me doing my stand-up live. Support the stuff. Support the show. Thank you. Here we go. Rod, kick me off on what happened in episode 4. Give us the recap.
All right, so we have to recap. This is the episode where it's titled Land of the Dead.
Dun, dun, dun.
So basically, you know, what are heroes, but are people in this particular field. They have now obtained the sword as yet. They're looking for the sword. Sorry, but looking for the sword. They got a destination. The directions sends them to sub-Interdia. So basically, it's like hell. It's like they're going to hell. So basically, they made their way to hell. So upon entering, we have our team consists of, let's see now, we consist of Tila.
Yep.
Evelyn.
Yep.
Orko.
Mm-hmm.
Beastman.
Mm-hmm.
Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
Roboto.
Yes.
And why did I just went blank? There's no, that's odd. 6 and 7. Right. There was odd. Right. 7 Roboto. Right. Cool.
Yes.
I just realized because I remember there was an odd. That's why I was like, no, they ended off at right.
You're right. Because the groups break out into 1, 2, and 3.
Correct. So
yes.
So there we go. So they basically make their way in. What they do now, they walk inside. They're going down. Everybody's saying, be attentive. Something's going to happen. Be careful. All of a sudden, like a green type of glowish light starts flowing all over the place. Okro is now being scared as his normal scaredy self. He's like, what's that? And all of a sudden, a flash of light. And basically, people start to realize members of the team have disappeared. In reality, they have just been isolated from each other into their own fear type of globe, type of...
it's almost literally, they're in their own personal hell, right? Their own personal hell fueled by fear.
By fear. So, we start off with Tila, and she's now broken down into her section. And then the other section consists of Evelyn and Orko, and then it's Beastman, Andrea, and Roboto.
That's right.
So, let's see. How do we have this fun? Tila now is confronting her fear, and it's basically, I will admit, I do not remember the particular demon. I know
villain, right?
Villain, right? But I can't remember his name but he was basically the one he basically lives off of fear. So he's basically in each person, in each group, he was basically, actually no, he just did it with Tila. But the other ones, their fear kind of came out. But he confronted Tila, realizing she's the leader, and then basically said, okay, I'm here to feel off your fear. You're here in hell. You're in my world. Your fear is going to be being left and not knowing the secret of He-Man / Adam.
Right.
And then basically having a battle. They just go into a fight, sword fighting, whatever the case is. Then we switch over to Evelyn. Or we can jump if you want to jump in at that point. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. Okay. So the whole thing with Tila, so the person she's fighting, and I can't remember her name, so I'm gonna look it up. But I know I shops glow. Okay, can't remember right now. But
Scareglow. There it is.
Scareglow. There we go. Scareglow. So Scareglow, I don't ever recall him in the original episodes, but he was a toy because the Masters of the Universe line had so many figures. By the time, season 2 came out of the Filmation, they were just pumping out figures faster than they were actually giving the characters appearances. And the same thing when they kind of spilled over into She-Ra, right? So she was fighting Scareglow. Then you have Orko. Every time I say Orko, as a West Indian, I want to say okra.
Can't even lie.
Yeah, exactly. Everything. Because who are you fighting? Well, oh man, look at that. It's Tila and Okra.
I'm Orko.
Right? And that's why I said, I know I talked about it a little bit last time, so we'll kind of get into it. So Evelyn and Orko, not Okra. Mm-hmm. Evelyn and Orko, okay, he's Orkra for the rest of the show. No,
Orkra for the rest
him and Evelyn are fighting, but and they're fighting a demon. They go back to his homeland of Trollop. And what I liked is you finally get some more background. I mean, in the original Filmation series, they really touched on him. They showed a couple of episodes where he kind of meets up with some of his family. But I like that this turn, he got serious. He's matured. You know,
this is the thing. Yep.
And he matured, and we talked about this last time, and he matured, and he actually has a good conversation with Evelyn. He really connects and is able to open up. And I think the only people that he's opened up to prior was Cringer and Adam, Prince Adam, right? Who would know some of his backstory, and they might have known what he's told Evelyn, and maybe not. You know, sometimes it's easier to confront and talk to a person that doesn't know you, that can't judge you, than to someone who really knows you, and then you might think that they might ruin your opinion of them. So, you know, Orko was always seen as the Joker, the magic user, and can't get it right. In that episode, we found out his true name and the reason why his name is Orko. And as he said, you know, forgive me for repeating myself. So in that episode, he turns around and he goes, well, when I was younger, my parents gave me a name of greatness because they wanted me to grow into this great name. They had high hopes for me. But when I was young, I couldn't say the name properly. And I used to say Orko. And it was Evelyn that caught up how quick it was. She goes, yeah, so your name was Oracle. And it's like Oracle obviously is a high, you know, ranking name. It's like naming your son Prince. Rest in peace. Naming your son Prince, right? Because you want him to be a prince, and have that royalty. So you name him to be greatness. And just like the musician, he rose to greatness in his genre. So that's what it was. It's just that he, as a little kid, had problems pronouncing it. You know, when you have little kids, they don't say daddy, they say dada, mama, you know, baba for their bottle sometimes, a lot of it, right? So he said
enunciation.
Orko.
Enunciation wasn't there. That's all it was.
Yeah.
The enunciation.
The enunciation. That's right. That's right. He should have got hooked on phonics at a younger age. So when he was growing up, there was people his age that were able to cast spells, and he was still having trouble casting those spells. So he hid his failures with humor.
Yep.
Right? And that's why he became more of a joker. Even though he tried his best, anytime he messed up, instead of him getting depressed about it, he just kind of laughed it off. And that was his defense mechanism to deal with the failure. And he had a good heart-to-heart with Evelyn. And so did Evelyn. I'm like, wow, this is great. And Evelyn opened up about saying, bottom line is, she should have been leading people. She should have been, you know, not caught up in someone else's dream. Pretty much, she's kind of been, I was following Skeletor because I was into the bad boys. Right? But if you look at Evelyn's history, her father in the original Filmation series was a guardian and a high-level magic user. And she decided to go, you know, the dark side, for lack of a better term, and it kind of disappointed her family, and she knew that, but she still wanted to crave power and do it that way. So she's no fool. And she does address the fact that, man, instead of following Skeletor, I could have been leading. And it came up in the episode, one of the episodes before, where Triceratops, you know, turned around and simply, no, sorry, it was Merman. It was Merman. My apologies. So when they're on their way to this land, you know, where they went down to the land of the dead on the boat, Merman turned around and told her straight up, it's like, we could have ruled. After Skeletor, it's like, you could have had the land, I could have had the sea, we could have ruled Eternia, and you walked away from it. So it kind of makes you wonder why, right? And even she addresses it. So that there to me is open plot, so, you know, open subplot.
Season two.
Well, it's the next couple of episodes, but yeah, so that was it. So that part was really, I found for that episode really, really informative, man. That sparked something there, and that's what I liked. And it's like you got more insight into this character from the different runs. You know, Peter, if it was like the original Filmation run, the one in 2002 when they brought it back again, really more into Evelyn. So that's it. Then we move on to our next three there, which is Beastman, Roboto, and Andrea.
Right. So with them then, basically they were, as we know, Beastman has always been at least portraying to be a follower. He's always being guiding and protecting Evelyn wherever she goes. So as soon as he realized she was just here, like, and again, in reality, they could have been maybe more than 5 feet away from each other. But in this particular sphere type of environment, the personal hell, he lost sight of her. He's starting to panic and starting to get all, you know, I don't know what to do, where she was at. Andrea, she's basically now, she basically took control. I said, okay, Roboto, find out where we are. Roboto's trying to figure out where he is. Couldn't figure it out. And like saying, I don't see nothing. I don't see no life signs or anything like that. Then all of a sudden, they were being watched by some type of predators. Then it became, basically they just fell under attack. So then they were just fighting them off in that particular realm. So that was more of a way of them finding and working together to basically resolve the situation, to get themselves out of the situation. But at this point, again, although they're kind of walking under the same premise of trying to save Eternia and save magic, you now still have Beastman from, say, the evil side, and you have Roboto and Andrea from, the good side. But they actually work together to resolve and to get themselves out of the situation. So that's one thing I did like that in regards to Beastman actually realizing, okay, we need to work together. And the other two realizing, yeah, we need all three of us need to work together to get out of here. So let's see. So that was a good. I like that part of it. I like that part of the episode that you can just, again, I guess what I really pulled out, as you can hear from me, what I'm pulling out of that, they have the ability to work together in that realm. And it also even goes back to Oracle and Evil Lyn, because at a point they're basically, like Barry's saying, like they were attacked by basically a demon from. Yeah. But what I liked about how that whole thing started, the imagery is basically they were now in a particular room, like a hall of libraries or a big library, basically in Oracle's world. Yeah. And all you saw is evil eyes popping up, like dark red eyes, and they were shaped out like shadows of Oracle. And all of a sudden, more eyes started to pop up, and then they just started flying towards him. And basically, instead of being like a three-dimensional figure, it now became flat on the ground, basically, and just floated off now like a shadow, racing towards him. All of a sudden, they all merged together into this one big, gigantic demon. And basically, those two had to work together to defeat. And that's another thing. Again, what I'm liking about this is that they're realizing that they need to put aside whatever position their past beside them, because they realize they got to get this thing through. They realize that their whole lives, the whole of Eternia is in jeopardy. That if they don't just come together and fulfill this mission of finding these two swords, to be able to merge them back together and create the power sword, to be able to save Eternia and all of magic. So that's one thing I definitely liked and pulled away from. At least all these two teams going through their bickering. Yep. So there was enough bickering throughout the whole conversation, throughout the whole, crusade or task at this time to get to this point. They've been bickering back and forth.
Realizing the dream work.
Exactly it. They realized they had to put it behind each other and said, listen, we need to get out of here. Let's work together. So I liked also the fact with Andrea, you start to see that she is the genius, the inventor is coming out of her. How she was able to create or basically able to solve the situation that all the dark entities coming around them. They needed, Roboto said he had the I can't remember the exact wording of the power source of his cell, but basically she was able to manipulate and wired him up properly so they can have a big burst of light.
You get rid of the shadows. Right.
Creativity. He didn't even think of that to my recollection.
And he's got man-at-arms brainwaves in him, right? And he didn't think of that. So so that opens up a couple of things. So here's a couple of questions on that. So one, and let's go backtrack for half a second. Mm-hmm. When we're talking about Beastman, I realize it seems like Beastman is not. He likes Evil Lyn.
Yes.
I don't know how Evil Lyn looks at Beastman. But there's more than friendship. I think that Beastman has romantic feelings for Evil Lyn, right? Yes. He's very protective of her. Now, I'm not sure if she's returning those feelings. I've watched the episodes, and I don't really think she's thankful, but she doesn't seem to go past a certain thing. So I'm not sure if they're going to address that a little bit more or not. Why he's so protective of Evil Lyn, of all people, because he could have teamed up with other members of, Skeletor's forces and been protective of them or teamed up. And no, it's really Evil Lyn that he kind of sticks with, right? So that I want to see a little bit more or get a little bit more explanation on, see if they did have history, because it's been a couple of years since Skeletor's been gone. So
and this is what I feel.
Have a relationship and maybe it fell apart.
And this is what I feel.
yeah, they had a relationship and it fell apart. He's still just protective of her, or maybe it's kind of going that way and she does have feelings for him, but she's more reserved, right? She's got her mind on the prize. So that's one.
Because I'm thinking like if there is a romantic, like you're saying exactly, if there's a romantic type of feeling going on there, it may be one way, as you can clearly not clearly see, but you're more or less is giving their impression. What I feel is like I'm wondering if they're gonna reveal it in the next season that during the time that they were off, something might have happened to him where she came to his rescue, and by her being his savior out of a situation that he couldn't do himself, where it was probably life threatening, and like saying, "Listen, if I don't get out of
eternally grateful and protected because she saved him."
Exactly.
Okay, I get that.
So we hopefully they'll open up a couple of doors and hopefully reveal a couple of stuff in the following seasons regarding that. But that was definitely shown that there's something there. So that's something they were smart to put in there. We can put a pin on that. We know we're gonna have to come back to that.
I like that. Eventually. Put a pin on it. Yep, you're right. Okay. And the thing with Andrea, clearly to me, all the characters are a little bit older, right? Mm-hmm. I think just speaking long-term wise, Andrea is going to be a staple in this new series. We know there's another 5 episodes. It's supposed to be, then it's done. We'll see if it's done. Usually when fans react positive to it and unlike it, they always kind of say, hey, let's keep going for a little bit longer. Look at Lucifer. Lucifer was supposed to end how many seasons ago? And then every time it comes on, we're still going. Okay, this is the last season. Okay, guys, we're doing one more, but this is the last season. Okay, guys, guess what? We're going to do one more, right? So that's how it's been going with Lucifer. And don't get me wrong, I like Lucifer, but get back on topic. So if fans really get behind this a lot more after the second batch of episodes get released,
correct,
they might they say, hey, we're going to keep it going for a little bit longer, like how they did with the Voltron that was on Netflix. So we'll see. They will see. So that's just my own thing. But in this episode, you're right. So that covers everyone there. Tila goes back and they're going with Tila. She figures out how to defeat the main person. And then at one point, so after Andrea pulls off her move and gets rid of all the shadows, it gets rid of the shadows for her, Roboto, and Beastman, right? And then very quickly after that, because there was so much outpouring of power, we lose Roboto. Bada bing, bada boom, there's an explosion, and okay, that -1. You right?
Well, not as yet. Not as
yet. Hold on, then I'm getting confused. I watch everything in a blur. My bad.
So that's the next episode.
Oops, sorry, my bad. See, I make mistakes.
No, don't worry. All right,
so let's take it back. We all know this is spoilers anyways, so we take it back. So yeah, that's right. So sorry. So they get rid of all the shadows. Okay, great. That's all gone. And then when the shadows go for them, it also disappears for Evelyn and Orko, right? And then Tila realizes when she's fighting that first she's fighting her fear gets manifested as He-Man. And then after it changes, when she kind of says, I'm taking back control of my fear, it's manifested as a version of herself.
Right.
So she's got to fight.
No, she has to fight herself because Scareglow realized, like in conversating with her, being a representation of Adam, of He-Man, he realizing, I'm not getting anywhere with her. She's not being fearful. And then she said something that made him realize, oh, wait a minute, you're not fearful of Adam, you're fearful of yourself, of succeeding. And, of so forth. And that's when she started to fight herself. But she realized, like, yeah, I admit it. I was fearful. I was fearful being, that I couldn't fulfill the promise, that that I'd be good enough, the normal kind of fears people have when you're in a position.
She just got promoted, right? So she's got the fear of being the new man at arms. That's a lot of responsibility. I mean, when you get promoted, sometimes the first reaction is like, yeah, I got promoted. And then you look back and see everyone looking at you going, hey boss, now what? And you're like, holy crap, I got to be in charge of all these people. I have all these lives that are depending on me. If I make a mistake, people die. That's crippling at times.
That's heavy. That's
very heavy.
It's very heavy. But the good thing about it, she realizes, she recognizes that. And with that, she's able to stand in that fear and realize she accepted it. So she wasn't fearful. She's like saying she owned up to it. And the wonderful thing about that, too, is when she started to own up to it, Scareglow started to realize, like, I'm not in control of the situation anymore. Nope. I've lost control. And there's a little part we have to put a pin on, is that when she really got full understanding of she's in charge of this fear and she took control of it, she's basically similar in the same sense that happened with Andrea and Roboto, that there was a big light of, blinding light that just should come and just erase all the darkness. Same to
Yes.
happen to her. But the sweetest, slightest thing you notice just
Do
before,
it.
all of a sudden when she just basically powered up and, full confidence, there was like a slow little extra layer of glow upon her. And
Yes.
it looked a little reminiscent of a certain sorceress. But I digress. Pin, we'll come back to that afterwards.
Absolutely.
Pin.
And I get you, because when she did it, so it came, so, anyone listening that's not watching it or haven't watched it, this energy ring that comes about from her, it comes about maybe midway around her waist, like how you have the rings of Saturn. It comes out that way and it expands from her out. And that's what gets rid of the deep. And the color scheme of that energy ring is very reminiscent of the sorceress when she casts spells and the energy that comes out of her hands. It has that same kind of color scheme. Now, as we said before, we all know if you are a classic fan of the Filmation episodes of He-Man, they did confirm that Teela is the daughter of the sorceress.
Sorceress, yes.
And the sorceress had a sacrifice, and to protect Teela at the time, she had to give her up for adoption. She knew Man-at-Arms, so she gave Teela to Man-at-Arms to be the adoptive father. And he raised her from a baby to a full-grown woman, trained her in everything he knew, right? So she does have magical energies in her. She's just never purposely accessed them.
Right.
She hasn't been
unknowingly.
taught them. Right. Knowingly, right? So that's one. And then the other aspect is that she's not, everyone knows, when I say everyone, so Prince Adam knows, / He-Man knows that Teela is the daughter of the sorceress. Man-at-Arms knows this also, right?
Right.
We can assume maybe Cringer does know too. Maybe. But everyone else has been sworn to secrecy, and the only person that doesn't know is Teela. So keep in mind that Teela, at the beginning of this episode, the beginning, she got upset because there were all these secrets, and then she walked away. And then every time she says no more secrets, people think about it because it's not their place to say. It's really up to the sorceress. And every time they go to reveal, say, okay, well, there is one more secret. Let's just clear the air for something happens that makes them stop. Or Teela just says, not now. We'll deal with it later. So there's also a possibility that, giving some thought, maybe Teela has an idea that her mom is the sorceress. Has a slight idea. And every time they go to, and this is my theory, right? Every time they go to say, it's like, hey, we want to tell you the secret. And she's like, no, not now. I'm not ready to deal with this emotional baggage right now. So she's stopping them because she suspects, right? And doesn't want to really have the confirmation of it at the particular moment. She's not emotionally ready to deal with it. Because look, she walked away for how many years when she found out about Adam? And then it comes down to the absolute last question. Who's the father? Maury. Right? And I was trying to do some research online. I saw some stuff and I'm like, oh, okay, no. So, the whole running joke is who's the father? And they never said it in the Filmation episodes. No. They never said it in the 2002 episodes. So we know who the mom is. We know, 1 + 1 is supposed to be 2. I know there's someone said maybe a clone, Teela's maybe a clone of the sorceress. And I'm like, that doesn't don't give me that clone. I had enough of clone stuff after Spider-Man. So no, don't want it to be a clone. I want it to be a biological daughter. The question is, who's the father? And I saw really outside there, someone said that it could have been Fisto. What a name. It could have been Fisto. And they're saying, and someone was writing a script kind of like Fisto was the brother of Man-at-Arms, but he was also the biological father of Teela. And I'm like, nah, not Fisto. Well, even though Fisto and Duncan Man-at-Arms look alike, but so right. So that's just
we'll see how that one is, because I'm just here looking just to get reminded. I know I came across it saying there was the episode where Man-at-Arms did say he was one of Eternia's greatest men. Mm-hmm. So it's now, you're right. It's like, who is Duncan talking about himself? to just sway off the conversation?
Yeah.
Or I'm trying to think who else have we known to be one of the greatest men of Eternia?
Well, come on. Now let's go back for half a second, right? And not jump ahead too much. So if it's one of Eternia's greatest men, right? So they can go a couple of ways just with that phrase. So one, I don't think it's Duncan at all. It's definitely not Duncan. Because Duncan, classic man at arms, is Eternia's most dangerous man, not his greatest man. The greatest person that comes to mind is He-Man. Now, hold on. I'm not saying Prince Adam He-Man.
He-Man.
But He-Man is a title that you get that's been a guardian of Eternia over time. So there's been other great heroes
He-Man.
that follow the line of that He-Man follows from, right? So it's like, Optimus Prime. Oh, okay. There's many other primes before Optimus. We know Optimus, but there's multiple primes before Optimus Prime. Just like there was many heroes before He-Man. So could her father have been one of them?
Possibility.
Well, that's it. There's a very great possibility because all of them are major heroes and they represent the best of Eternia. So I think it's someone of that caliber. Once again, not He-Man, but we have to look at the past, right? It could have been Hero. It could have been Gray Skull. It could have been whoever. So if it's one of Eternia's greatest men, yeah, right? Once you don't do no bait and switch on me saying, well, her father's Skeletor and his father was, Skeletor before he was Skeletor, it'd be like, come on now, don't Darth Vader me. Which would explain her snake look armor in the toy, right? Because then she would have that kind of aspect behind her, but because the toy had this kind of snakish armor at one point. Yeah, so
it had a female Serpentor type of look, but we'll just leave it at that. Come on, son.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on, son.
Come on, son. You know what I'm saying? So that's just like off the cuff there. So at the end of this episode, we're getting there. They finally get rid of all the shadows. They realize, Teela finds out how to get the half of the dark sword, right? Because she overcomes and she confronts her whole persona about, her failing and overcoming that. And then that sword kind of manifests because at one point she almost makes a deal with him. What's his name again? I keep forgetting.
Scareglow.
So she makes a deal with Scareglow. Scareglow's like, oh yeah, give me your fear and I'll give you the sword. And then at one point she's like, well, you know what? I renege on that deal. I don't need you to give me the fear to find the sword. I can find it myself. And then, the sword manifests and she gets the sword. He's like, no! And he goes to attack her and he's trying to get there. And then all of a sudden my man, Orko shows up and says, go, I got this. And start casting a spell. And for once, the spell works as intended.
Exactly.
And then he starts amplifying the spell and he's amping it up. And Scareglow is still walking through the blast of this spell, but still moving himself slowly towards it. And Orko's pushing him back further, and it's not. And then the portal opens for them to leave hell. But everyone's screaming like, no, we don't want to go. We can't leave him. We can't leave him behind. And Teela's trying to run towards Orko to grab him, to pull him through the doorway. And he's like, nope, I got this. And at one point, him and Scareglow finally gets his hands on Orko, and there's a magical explosion. And it just pushes all the heroes through that portal.
Right.
And that's the portal to heaven. But it pushes them right through that portal. And that's the last we see of Orko. He sacrificed himself. If we go back part 1, that he was just holding on because there was no magic in Eternia. So he was kind of slowly dying. He was pulling off the magic in that realm of hell. He sacrificed himself, and that hit me hard. I'm like, you don't want to see characters that you've grown up with
that was
since the 80s, man. Turn around and just
yeah. Listen, I stood up. I stood up, and I'm like, did they just took out Orko? They just took out Orko. They just took out Orko. They just took out Orko. What was going on? Orko, no. Yeah, it took me for a spin. It took me for a major spin. I'm like, I'm going to give you the golf clap that you went full left. You didn't even tell me to buckle up. You took a full left turn, and I was not ready. And my face planted into the window like Otto Man. I was not ready. Was not ready.
Auto Man, great show. We got to cover that one time, but yes.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
So
but
this was yeah. So yeah, I wasn't ready for that, but it shows, like we were saying, the maturity of Orko. You can see him just building and realizing that, you know what, he's not the frail young little one that we knew from the 80s, from Filmation.
No,
he can show that he's now grown up. He's got some maturity behind him, and especially like we said, when he had the conversation with Evelyn, talking about his past and his heritage, just in that lane, you could hear the maturity and, like, you know, like I've had, you know, I'm a better person now. Like, I'm grown up. So I'm like, it was the final thing for you. Like, this is what I was made for. This is who I came. I was here to hold off while you guys continue on the path.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was good.
Yeah. That got me in the feel. So that was, yeah. You know, play cue, you know, Bill Bixby's music when he's leaving town as Bruce Banner.
I'm gone.
Right? I was like, what? Like, okay, let me put it this way before we jump on to episode 5. Kevin Smith, let me talk to you, man. You was a bad man. Kevin Smith, you turned around and you did that to all of us. You got rid of Okra. Okra. I keep got it in my head. I can't get it out.
I know. Orko.
And you got rid of him. It was so sudden. We weren't prepared for that. You, Kevin Smith, have a heart problem.
Why do you say that?
And you do something like this, and you make us, and you hit us in the feels, and you almost gave me a heart problem. Why are you trying to spread the shock to people's hearts? You, of all people, should know better and at least ease us in, because we're about the same age, same generation, and dude, you almost killed me. And you know, so why you want to do? Don't you understand? You were close to the other side. Don't bring us with you, man. You should have eased us into that shock. You know, people of our age can't handle shock like that quick. Come on now, man. Just one. You know, I gotta stay around to see the other 5 episodes. Don't mess with my health. I gotta stay around for the next 5 episodes, Kevin. I gotta stay around and see Phase 4 of Marvel, Kevin. I gotta still stay around and watch the Flash movie, Flashpoint, Kevin. Don't take me out before. I'm gonna spice this and put this up for Kevin Smith. Don't take me out before I see the rest of this golden age of comic books on the big screen and streaming services, Kevin. Mr. Kevin Smith almost killed me putting that shocker with. Don't do that to me, man. You know what? I've been walking more. I've been watching what I've been eating, because I realize I want to live, man. Because Marvel's got a lot of stuff coming out. I need to see the Hawkeye series. I need to see, you know, She-Hulk coming out. Come on, Kevin. You don't take me out before. I still got to watch Eternals, Kevin. Don't take me out before these things come out, Kevin. Man of Steel 2, they're talking about it, Kevin. Kevin Smith, don't kill me today. That shock almost was it. Okay, episode 5.
You good? You got out of here? You good? All right, cool.
I'm good. Once.
Well, no. But you see, this is how smooth he was. Kevin was smooth. He took us in the back and he just took us around the corner in the back alley. But he brought us to the front. What was the last thing you see in episode 4? Everybody's now fall through, wake up. Like, is this heaven? This is Paternia. Well, what about Orko? And all you hear is, Tila? And everybody focused to someone at the top of a hill. And who is it? Adam.
Prince Adam. See, once again, my heart couldn't handle the shock. You got rid of.
That's why he softened you up. He saved you.
He tried to. Yeah, but see, I almost didn't make it past Orko. See, look, Kevin, you're doing Clerks 3, dude. Clerks 3. Don't take me out before Clerks 3. All right. So we see Prince Adam. Come on, man.
Kevin, this is what we do, Kevin. This is what we do. So yeah. So now we're on the 5th episode. So
yes,
basically, we now see the team, the remaining of the team, basically arrive on Paternia. Now, this is basically heaven. Wonderful. So, I love how this turns out because now they reunite with Adam. Unfortunately, through all this turmoil that Taylor has been going through, she's got herself to a better place. She's trying to get herself to a better place.
Yes.
She sees Adam.
Yes.
She reverts back to like, I'm going to kill you. I'm just like you, I can't, I got to catch my breath. I will get into a better place.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where you're mad at the person. You're so happy to see them, but you're still mad at them. It's like, man, I'm gonna hit you off 2 for flinching, hit you off the head for dying, but glad to see you.
5 across the eyes. 5 across the eyes.
5 across the eyes. Pop.
What? So yeah. So that was wonderful, hilarious, and wonderful. Seeing that she still had the dynamics of being still angry at him.
Yeah.
throughout this whole turmoil. But it was cool that you now find Adam, finding out, and now Adam trying to figure out what's going on, why are you guys here, and so forth. They're not revealing the information as yet. Finding out who's missing, find out Oracle just passed away.
Yeah.
So it was nice that you can now see it. It just left, what's the right word for saying, like the whole atmosphere, the whole environment now is just more alleviated, just more relaxed a little bit because now they're on the heavenly side.
Yes.
The stress is not not so heavy. They're saying, well, we got to find.
They leverage from going from hell to heaven, right? Yeah. Okay.
So now we're looking now to tell them we need to find the sword. Oh, you mean this sword? My man pulls out. Now he has the other half of the sword. Why do you need it? Listen, basically, Eternia is on a brink of just destruction. It's about to pass out. It's about to catch his last breath. We need magic back up in there, and we need to get these swords back together. So that was great. Taking that aspect and just saying, okay, what we have to do. Roboto is now in charge. Now, well, he's has to take point now. This is the whole reason why you're here, Roboto. Yes. You're basically at the minds of a younger man at arms. You now need to be able to put this thing together. Let's go gadget and get it done. Okay.
That was my Power Rangers thing. I don't know why I did that instead of go gadget, but yeah, that still works for me.
It worked for you. All right, it works. So the jokes out is that aspect of it, Roboto, Andrea, who else went with it? It's just those two that went together to try to look into that. So what I loved about this too is that Adam now is saying like, okay, there's only one person who can probably help us out. We need to get a hold of him. Today is the chase.
Yep.
And we're gonna go and we're gonna go connect with the guy who can help us out. So who we're looking for? King Grayskull. No problem. So that was hilarious. That now you're starting to see other characters, and as you and I were talking, before we even got into this whole thought process of saying we're gonna actually do these, we're gonna have these quick little reveals on the show. When they start now bringing up all the other characters, all these characters are the ones from the toy collection.
Yes, the mini comic book, the toy collection.
Mini comic books that came with it. You start to see revealing all the people here. Hero, and that was hilarious when you're now having a conversation with Hero, the previous, and I would take it that was the previous Sorceress.
Yep. That was the ancient sorceress from the mini comic book, who didn't even speak English. At one point she when she does kind of speak English, she turns around and calls Adam Flea Man instead of He Man.
Because he's so small. So small and frail. He's so small and frail.
Yeah. And then you had Hero, they're looking for Grayskull himself, clearly named, Castle Grayskull, he was the first one. And then they showed some other ones in the background from the toys, right? So, what was interesting for me was one of them was Starios, I think his name was. And I have to look it up. He came with a chair. He was like a cosmic being. He was in some of the Filmation episodes. So he always sat on a chair like Metron from the New Gods, and he had like a white helmet, big goggle eyes into the helmet and all that. But you saw him standing in the background. So I'm like, oh, okay, so you're Hero of Eternia. And he was supposed to be a cosmic being. Nice seeing others from the toy. Even if some of them didn't speak or have any speaking roles, it was still nice to see them represented. And then you realize all the heroes now come to this heaven, right? This was their Valhalla.
Right. And this was for those who actually sacrificed themselves in a very heroic way. It's not like they just died in battle or anything like that, that anybody was here. This was like the Valhalla. This was the next level. This was like the top of the top, the cream of the cream. This is where like saying, okay, this is the penthouse on top of the penthouse.
Right.
And only those who sacrifice their lives heroically would end up here. So it was great that you can just see, like you say, all the historic people that we knew of from the toy line comic book strips that was sent out with the toy lines back in the days.
Absolutely.
You're now starting to see this. These people literally are the history foundation of He-Man and Masters of the Universe. That's what these guys are.
Well, this is why it's called Masters of the Universe, right? It's not He-Man, it's Masters of the Universe. It's covering everybody else. And I like that he's drawn on the history from the toys, from the, I think it was the 1987 cartoon or 83 cartoon. I'm old, I get dates. And then I know the 2002 cartoon. And then the newer one, right? Where He-Man was slimmer and he was in outer space. And we call him Space He-Man. That's how I call him. So all of those, he's drawn on history and throwing the characters in there as much as possible, as appropriately. I mean, keep in mind. I mean, if you look behind me, for those who are watching, take a look behind myself, and you just see a smidgen of the toys that were made for the He-Man Masters of the Universe line. And when I say the toys, I'm talking all the figures. So you got to figure how many good guys, how many bad guys. There's more than you'll ever catch in the episodes. Same thing with G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe, if you collected a comic book or you watch the TV show, the original run, there were so many Joes that there's no way you could put them all in one show at times. That's a hard one. So, good on Kevin for drawing up for who was appropriate for certain times. Like, hey, if we're going to go to heaven, then we can show Hero and Grayskull and Staros and then we can put in, the original Sorceress, right? Because we know that the Sorceress is passed down line to line. That someone always takes over that role of that guardian of Castle Grayskull. All right. So the current Sorceress, we know she's there with the castle. The original Sorceress, it seems that here she is because they got similar looks, but boom, 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 boom. It's all there. All right. And some of them spoke and it stays with us in the storyline, but others were in the background like, hey, all right, man, I remember you. The cool thing is people can watch this and say, I had that toy. I had that toy, or I wanted that toy. I wanted that figure. That works out. So being there, they got the sword, dealing with Adam, and then they come up with their plan saying, okay, well, we got the other sword. We got to put the other sword together. How can we do this? Put this sword together. Right. So this is where I jumped ahead from episode 4 into 5 with certain people passing. So Roboto, along with Andrea, he has that power source to use it to merge those swords together. At the same time, Adam saying, hey, well, there's a way, I think, talking to Hero, right? And one of the other members said, there is a way for you to go back, but no one's ever tried it, right? And keep in mind that if you go back, so you can go back to Eternia, you can go back to life, you can continue your life. But if you die again, coming to Preternia is a one and done.
Right.
So if you go back,
there's no guarantee.
And you die again, there's no guarantee. We don't think you're going to come back a second time. You've been here once and you left it on your own free will. It's like, okay, you go and you win yourself a house in whatever lottery draw and all that, and you get the house for free. And then you turn around and say, well, I'm going to move, to a different spot. I'm going to move to a different country. So moving to a different country, now you have to buy a house. Doesn't mean the house you had for free is going to stay there. You're going to have to sell it. Right. And so pretty much he's kind of saying, well, I'm walking away. I'm selling away my being in heaven to live one more time, and can't guarantee that you're going to get back here again. You know how good it is. You've done your time. There will be another hero. Let them go on. And you heard the conversation. It's like, hey, Adam, you don't have to go. You can let them go on. Let's let them take the sword. You've done well for Eternia during your run as He-Man. they're here, they're not dead. So for them to go back, okay, they were never originally supposed to be here in the first place. They kind of just hopped the fence.
Right.
So no, but you go back and you die, you might just turn into dust. You won't come back in here. It's a good chance you won't come back. So Adam looks at it and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to find out how to get back. I'm still determined to go back with my friends because he feels guilty that he's left behind his loved ones. He didn't get a chance to say goodbye to his mom, his dad. You know, he sees the hurt that he's put Tila through. So he kind of wants to make amends with everybody and come clean. And I get that because keep in mind, even though everyone else has aged X amount of years, Prince Adam has not. He's still in that young man body.
Right.
So he's got to go back and one more time, right? He's got to go back. So he makes that decision to go back. They tell him, okay, you go through the portal. That's how you do it. They go around to form the power sword once again with the 2 halves, which was like very reminiscent of a comic. Roboto turns around, opens up his power cell. Andrea puts it together. They merge it's all this energy, and they get the swords to join. But the power output was so immense that Roboto now at this point, bada bing, bada boom, gone. 2 episodes, 2 people shy. Like permanently gone. Okay. You know, that one was like, I'm still with episode 4 with Oracle. That hit me in the feels. Kevin.
But here's a funny thing.
The eyes.
Here's a funny thing. Paternia is for those. This is going back to what I was just saying. That if you die, unless you die of, if you may die, but if depending on your death, it may not. It may be heroic, but it may not be heroic enough for you to come over. Because if Oracle now dying heroically, you know, trying to take that last one, whole off Scareglow while everyone makes an escape, he died being a hero. You could say maybe you're on the short list to go to Paternia. So you would expect him on the other side, but when he flipped over, he wasn't there. Roboto was now the same thing. I'm doing something heroic to put the 2 shields, the 2 swords together. I'm doing that for Eternia. So technically, if he were to die, he should have just woke up like, you know, I'm in Paternia. I guess I'm not going nowhere. I'm on that side. Was it enough? You didn't hit enough levels. Well, your level status of heroic type of movements, it was good. It wasn't a full 100%. It wasn't a full 100%.
Well, okay, so here comes my theory, because I thought about that, right? And my theory is, okay, so for one, let's go back to Oracle. Oracle would not show up on Paternia, even though he died, because he's from a different dimension. So he would probably go the equivalent to his heaven in his dimension, back on Trollope.
Right, but that... Okay, no. I see what you're saying.
Right, because let's put it this way. Okay, I'm going to touch on very lightly religious beliefs, and that's what I mean. People who are Christian say we go to heaven. People who are, and I could be wrong, you know, Indians believe in reincarnation, right? Every religion, let me just say, every religion has their own versions of heaven and hell. They have their own versions of the afterlife. So, keeping that in mind, if Oracle dies here on Eternia, his soul will go back to his native religious background and his version of heaven. So he wouldn't be in Paternia. He would be in his own version of heaven.
That's a valid way of looking at it. Correct.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. You know, it's like, look, as you know, if you're a Christian and you believe in heaven and that's where you're going, then that's where you would go. If you are from Norway, and let's say you really follow the Norse thinking and religion of the afterlife, then if you die, you're going to go to Valhalla, right? So this is what breaks down. So this is what I mean by that. So hopefully you all catch what I'm saying, is that Oracle, to me, I think Oracle's in heaven, but he wouldn't be in Paternia because he wasn't, he didn't have Eternia beliefs. I'm not saying he wasn't a good person, but his religion... You know, his background
it wasn't rooted to Paternia.
Exactly. Where Adam and all them, they're heroes, for example, because Paternia is like their Valhalla, in my opinion. So their heroes are Hero, Grayskull, and so forth. You know, Oracle would say, "Hey, man, I'm with you. These guys represent good things. I'm all about that. But my heroes are so and so, so and so, and so and so, and I know when they died. You call it Paternia, we call it Trollopian heaven.
Right.
So that's where I think he's at. They would have to go through different versions of heaven to find Oracle, because they have to go to his version of heaven. This is why you had, especially back in the day, you had Norse. So you had the Norse and Vikings and their afterlife, and the Greeks and the Romans and the Egyptians. Everyone has their own afterlife, and their souls will go appropriate there. It's like, okay, you're one of us. Okay, you're one of us. So I think he's there. Now with Roboto, he's a robot. Even though he has the brainwaves of Man-at-Arms, he's still a machine. Mm-hmm. There's no afterlife for machines.
Well, that's exactly. You see, he got recycled, but in a sense, at the end of as he was passing away, he was saying a lot of things. Like saying, "I know I'm a machine. I feel it real, the realness of it." So it was turning out to be
a human moment.
A human moment. So I can understand where although he is still, biologically metal and electronics and, basically from a machine standpoint.
Yeah.
At the very end, he was basically feeling that. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. But, since he was just a copy of Man-at-Arms, like, for example, if Man-at-Arms died, then I could see Man-at-Arms there. Mm-hmm. But with Bardo, as much as I like to say, yeah, man, I'm hoping for a grasp of hope, bring him back. I really think that he wouldn't be in heaven because he's still a machine. He has thought process. So it really comes down to the question of, is a soul tied into your thoughts, or are they separate? Meaning, if he has the thoughts but no soul, then he wouldn't be reincarnated because he's seen as a machine. But if his soul is a part of those brainwaves and those thoughts, then yes, then that would help him get there to the afterlife, and he might show up after. So that deep questions, deeper than I can go. Someone let me know in the comments below, and we can discuss that on an upcoming episode. I'd love to discuss it, in a nice, positive, political way. I mean, it's not about who's right or wrong. It's just, let's open up the line of thinking. So that's what I'm talking about. This is why I think, that's my 2 points of why those two wouldn't be in Paternia. That's how I was taking it. And if Kevin Smith wants to chime in on this, let us know. Sure, because I want to talk about him and my ticker and what you almost did to me. Okay. Right.
So after that, basically realizing now that the sword is now back as one, we're now at the point where they realize they now have the opportunity and the ability to go back. Well, they confirmed with Grayskull, and Grayskull does say, yes, you do have the ability to go back. So like Barry was saying earlier, that at this point, everyone else can leave. They all can leave. And Adam, if you go, you may not come back. And Adam, I remember hearing the part where Adam asked him, so wait, you knew about this? So how come you never left? He said, why would I leave heaven? Why would I leave? For everything, like there may not be a chance for me to come back, but this is the final destination, and there's no worries. I'm good.
It's the ultimate retirement plan.
It's the ultimate retirement plan. So
with a high level of insurance. So you it's like the game of life. You won. You got the high insurance. You've got the you're set for life. You don't have to worry about money from the government per month. If something goes wrong, it's automatically fixed. That there is what we try to do here. So yeah. It's like, what insurance provider you have, man? It's like, man, let's just say it. I'm platinum card. What does that mean? Don't worry about it. Everything is covered. If I want a new body, platinum card. Put my brain in a new body. I'm good. So you're right. They never want to leave because they've done their time. They've done their big fights. They've made their sacrifices. This Paternia is their reward. Why would you want to leave? It's like one and done. Hey, and you know what? It's not like I left you guys in bad hands. There was another hero that stepped up to the game, because clearly there was Grayskull and he was there, did what he had to do. Okay, well, I'm out. And then, he's doing this thing all of a sudden. Hey, who are you? Well, I'm Hero. Hero? Yeah, well, I was a guardian of Eternia, And then I was doing my thing, and I was following what you did, Grayskull. And guess what? Well, my time's up, and now here I am. It's like, hey, man, you want to go on a hunt? No problem. What about Eternia? Don't worry. Another hero will step up. We've made a legacy. And exactly what it is. They don't have to worry about going back because they know someone else will pick up the slack. Not the slack, but someone will take up the role.
Right.
In Adam's case, it's like, oh, someone will pick up the role, right? You guys are all here. Someone else picked up the role. I picked up the role for you. So we good? We good? We cool? We cool? Yeah, Adam, there's no more magic. What? Adam, the power sword's gone. Oh, wait a minute. What? So the one thing that can help the next hero is not there? Yeah. Oh, I got to go back. Right? That was it. Like every time there was something there, that sword was there. Grayskull was always there. It got bigger. They amassed more. And now, what they needed for the next hero, because if the sword was there, they wouldn't need Adam.
Correct.
If the power sword is still there, magic was still on Eternia, the sorcerers will find a new hero. And it would have been done. Just like her. When she got old, she was like, well, it's time for me to find a new sorceress to take my role. And it would have been done and passed it on as the new guardian of Grayskull, and it would have gone on. But because Skeletor was so evil and worked it that he got rid of all magic, he put a staple in their plan.
Right. Completely.
So you're right. So they had to make that decision, get themselves back. Adam leaves, makes the decision. They all leave. They get back to Eternia. And even going back, keep in mind, everyone is aged. Adam still looks the exact same way he did all those years ago as Prince Adam. He didn't get older. It'd be cool to see Adam age, right? Mm-hmm. But he didn't. And my man takes up the sword and he's like, all right, no problem. And, and that's what, he goes with, by the power of, I don't remember it being by the power of, by the power of great. I'm like, what's wrong with you, Adam? You say the words, man. You're almost there. But when Adam came back, guess who's back? Back again.
Well, it's interesting the way this scenario really it adds up to that is that when he came back, they came back and literally it seemed like they came right at the time of a fight. So when they came back, they came outside of Grayskull, basically right in the middle of just finishing up a little fight, with some remaining Skeletor troopers and Triclops. Yeah. Triclops trying to, again, now taking the opportunity to try to approach and, try to raid Castle Grayskull.
Because the Sorceress has gotten, no magic left. Triclops says, Triclops, he's all about technology, so he knows magic is weak. He knows the Sorceress is weak. It was the prime time to strike. So
when they did that, they got defeated. So Triclops and his team got defeated. So now they're basically now going into Grayskull. Everybody's meeting them, realizing, oh, you're back. You brought back the sword. We brought back Adam. Oh, my goodness, yada, yada, all that wonderful stuff. Yada, yada, yada. But it was all wonderful. Cringer just crying tears of joy, Oh, that's another wonderful part of the jokes. So now they go down to the basement because they're realizing like Barry was saying initially in the beginning, is that the power of Eternia was kept in its particular casement. So the whole idea is that you had to basically put the power back into that casement. So that's what the sword was there to do. So the sword was starting the process of getting that back, building up the power and everything like that. So as Adam now decides to say, okay, I got to say the magic words, by the power of, why are we hearing a, because at that moment, our good friend, the scorer, guess who's back, basically started to reveal himself and basically form himself back to a solid matter and then stab up the back of Adam in mid-transition, and all that power was stopped. And everybody's like, where does Skeletor come from? The ram head that Evil Lynn had began to just manifest and became to be a foal. The ram head turned into the staff, and then from the staff hand, you start seeing a hand start to grow, and basically a whole body start to form. Where was all this? In Evil Lynn's power one, or basically her scepter.
Yeah.
And as, where the hell were you? All Skeletor said, yeah. So before everything was about to go, the big flashing bright light was about to burn me up. I needed somewhere to run. Scaredy cat Skeletor. I had to escape somewhere. And the only place I can think that can hold my essence is your scepter. Evelyn, I've been hiding out in your scepter for how many years, just waiting for the right opportunity and the power to pull me back. Thank you for free room and board. What? Free, my chair. Free room and board happened up in there, and holy, she's been just like, so I had Skeletor all this time? Yeah.
Yep.
So that was the biggest joke. So now that, again, Skeletor, before he died, like I said, before he died, he realized, wait a minute, He-Man is the young prince? And this is how you transform? Okay, I got you. I hear the words again. By the power of, right. Let me just stop you right there, boy. Give me a second. Pating, pating, pating. Drop the sword. I'll pick this up. So what were those words again? Oh, yes. By the power of Grayskull. I have the power. Holy. All you see is Skeletor turns into Beast Mode Skeletor.
Yeah.
And that was hilarious. And I'm like, okay. All right.
Well, see, once again, this goes back to the toy line. Right? So if you remember the original toy line back in the 80s, there was it? I can't remember what the name of the toy was. It was 2 that came out. So it was He-Man with full-out armor, like a full breastplate. And if you would punch it, like if you would hit where his emblem was a he, it would push in and flip, and it was like battle damage He-Man. And it would have a fist in it. And Skeletor had the same thing. Right. Where you would push his emblem, it would flip, and it would show like where He-Man would punch it, so it would be like the size of his fist. So it was battle. I think it was battle damage He-Man.
Battle armor.
Thank you.
Battle armor Skeletor.
Battle armor Skeletor. He turned into battle armor Skeletor. That look is right from battle armor Skeletor. That's deep. Okay, Kevin, I like you. You almost killed me in episode 4. But held up for 5, watched it, liked it. You knew your history. Battle armor. So he put him very similar into his battle armor mode.
Right.
What? And that's how overall the episode pretty much ends, because Adam's there. He's bleeding out. You know. So Teela's about to lose Adam again. He just made it back. We're not. So Adam's stabbed from back right through the front with a staff. So he's on the ground bleeding out. Teela's going through the shock of pretty much losing Adam again. Adam just got back to Earth, and knowing he might not go, he just might die. He's not, his soul will not go to Paternia because he's walked away from it to sacrifice. So even though he was trying to come back and do right, he lasted 5 minutes. Not even. Yeah. Not even. And we didn't even see He-Man. So I know fans are going to say, oh, well, we didn't see enough He-Man. I know they gave flashbacks to He-Man to show He-Man. And during those flashbacks, they explained why He-Man's jokes were so corny, because he was a 13-year-old kid in a grown man body. So a 13-year-old making jokes sometimes are going to be kind of corny. Same thing with Billy Batson and Shazam. But he didn't even get a chance to fully go through. So now, are we going to permanently kill off He-Man? Okay, so here's some final thoughts. No. Kevin Smith said it best. Kevin Smith was hired by Mattel to write this, put it out there. You think Mattel is going to turn around and kill off He-Man when He-Man is the main selling point for their action figures and statues and toys and no. See, Mattel had to, sorry, Rod, Mattel had to learn from Hasbro. Hasbro killed off Optimus Prime, and they got flack. And they did this when it was pre-computers. So people didn't send emails. People actually sat down there, wrote out letters saying, I can't believe you did this. My kid was crying. What's wrong with you, Hasbro? Blah, blah, blah. Bashing Hasbro. And so keep in mind, sending an email now is 30 seconds. You open up your computer's already open. You're on your phone. Boom, done. Back then, you had to get the line paper, write out your draft, then write it out properly, so this way you get rid of your spelling mistakes, fold it up, get the envelope, lick the sticky glue, seal it, put pressure on it, wait till it properly seals, put a, going to address, sent from, going to address written on the envelope in proper letters, right? So that means you had to find out the address for Hasbro, their mailing address, to know it. So you had to do some research, not online. You had to go through the catalog, look at the back of a toy, whatever. Then you had to go down to the post office. You had to buy a stamp. So that's leaving your house, and you're either doing a brisk walk, a quick bike ride, or you're going for a car ride. Get there, buy your stamps. How much postage is to say send this from this state or this province over here? Oh, you need maybe 75 cents. You got to buy 2 stamps of this, 2 35-cent stamps, and a couple of penny stamps. You got to lick those, slap them on the envelope, and then blow on it till it dry, okay? And if the letter was really thick, you had to weigh it and then put on the proper postage. And then you had to give it to the postman. Or if you had stamps at your house.
That's going in.
Yeah, I'm going in. If you had stamps at your house, then you had to make sure you put enough postage on there, drop that in the mailbox. Now, you would wait a couple of days, because if that letter came back, it would say insufficient postage, please add more. And you're like, all right, lip a couple more stamps, put them on, wait till it dry, drop that in, let it mail out to Hasbro. And then someone had to sit there and open it, physically, paper letter, open it. And they would open it, and sprinkles would follow sometimes just to piss them off who was reading it. So the person that had opened it got covered in sprinkles because you put it in there just to show your disdain for them killing off Optimus Prime. So that's what you had to do back then. And then Hasbro almost did the same thing for G.I. Joe, saying, we're going to kill off Duke. And then another division went, no, don't do that. We did that with Optimus Prime. Did you see the hate mail that we got in there that people turned around and mailed to us, paid postage? And they're like, oh, geez, okay, so you know what? We're going to put Duke in a coma. Yeah, because we see Transformer Division, you guys are still reading all the hate mail, and it's been 2 years after the movie, so we're just going to do Duke in a coma and call it that way, because we learned. So therefore, Mattel is not going to kill off He-Man, because now with emails, people can send emails with to everybody. You can tag, you can at Hasbro, at Kevin Smith, and, hashtag Kevin Smith, hashtag Mattel, not Hasbro, Mattel. And you can say, so they don't want to see all those comments out there. No, they've learned. They ain't not killing off He-Man. That's my 2 cents.
That's your 2 cents and $45 afterwards. Got it. No, you know what? Listen, I completely agree that, put it this way, didn't end off with him completely like the man gave out his last breath. So because the boy was still breathing at the end, he gonna be all right. I feel he gonna be all right. Maybe the power of Sorceress is gonna heal him up. We don't know, but he gonna be all right. Maybe Tila might have fall into her secret stash of power that she doesn't know she has within her, and save up the boy. I don't know, but the boy gonna be all right. Band-Aid the boy gonna be all right. Listen, even if we want to make a kind of futuristic George Jetson up to right now, Superman, they can't kill off. They try to kill off Superman. They have to put him in a kind of coma. They kill him off for one episode from Batman versus Superman, and then they have to come back and bring the man back alive again. So you can't do that. So don't worry, everyone. Adam/He-Man is going to be all right. It's a great cliffhanger to hold you off from episode 5 onto 6. Cliffhanger. That's all it is. So I was dying with like, oh my gosh. And I was like, in the same way I was thinking, like, no. As much as Roboto,
mm-hmm.
No. They can't do that to Adam. So I just realized, like, he gonna be all right. He just, toughen up, man. Walk it off, man. Walk it off.
Walk it off. I'm gonna walk it off. Hold
your chest. Hold your chest and walk it off, man. Hold your chest and walk it off. But what got me was Evil Lynn. Because at this moment now, when Skeletor is now back in full form, Evil Lynn, you've been by my side, continue to be by my side as we take over Eternia. What say ye? And my girl actually paused. And I liked the writing and the dramatic to show that she didn't like Skeletor and just ran to him. Like, she thought it out.
Yes.
So now I was now on a 50-50 at this point. Now here's my analysis. I'm thinking,
right.
Okay, did she pause because like, okay, the bad boy is back, or because you can see throughout these episodes, we'll definitely say from 2 on.
Yes.
You can see that Evelyn has been fighting her past. She's just fighting the nature of her past and realize, like, okay, am I really evil, or have I just been looking, have I gone down the right path, and how can I redeem myself and everything like that? So I now actually thought, literally within a split second after she paused, then she walked to say, okay, type of scenario. And she made a little joke again, but she was being the evil end of the Joker, just like saying, just to brush it off. I got to go on the winning side or something like that. I can't remember the exact phrase.
Yes.
But I was thinking maybe she's now going to play a double, hopefully, maybe she'll play a double agent in the sense like the only way to get close to figure this out, because she realized that Skeletor may have been always trying to get the power of Eternia. She realized that the good guys, they've only had the best interest, always had the best interest at heart. And now that you come down to magic is running out, that they pull their resources together. At this point, they could have told her, sorry for who you are, whoop, and kicked her out off the ship, off into land, and just let her die out. But they realized, for one, the sorceress trusted her, and that basically we needed to work together. So maybe she's now going to work the reverse end and say, we need to work together, but I unfortunately can't let it be known that I have to jump ship, but I'll be back when the time is right. I'll switch when the time is right so I can get the power back to the sorceress or whatever the case would be.
Right.
Because I remember she saying something with the sorceress, like, you trust me. No, she's trusting me because she's the one who made the plan.
Yes.
I had to go and find that. So I'm thinking that, again, maybe she's now realizing that here is someone who is supposedly my mortal enemy trusting me with this. When all counts comes down to it, that magic is gone, is running out of Eternia. My trusted enemy is now trusting me to be able to go and get the resources to do that. I could have done it on my own, per se. Now that I know what I had to do, I never had to come back to her. Or I could have done it myself. But realizing that we needed to work together. The evil guy, the evil Skeletor is back. Yeah, but he's always been bad for me. I'm realizing I can't go for the bad boys anymore. It's still good for me. So she could be playing it for right now, but I think she's probably just playing it for right now. And then we're going to see probably like episode first 5 and 5. Add my math, that brings to 10. Won't be on 10. Maybe on 8. No, sorry, maybe 9. Say. Maybe 9 or 8. She'll just, Evelyn will just turn into Lynn and be Lynn and just say, like you said, she has history. Her father was a guardian. Yes. So she has goodness, or she's seen the realm of goodness because she's brought up in that particular world.
Right.
So she may realize the errors of her ways completely now at that time, episode 8 or maybe episode 9 or episode 10, and do a last minute, sorry, Skeletor, throw it over to who's going to be deemed as the new He-Man or defender of the universe, because who said it has to be Adam? He may be healed. He may be all walking it off, still alive, but still walking it off. He's like, yeah, we're gonna have to give it to somebody else. We go for Tequila. Who knows? We'll just leave it at that. But,
well, that's it. And see, and you bring up some good points. So here we go. Right. So we'll wrap this one up real quick. But here's some good points on that. So you're right. It doesn't have to necessarily be He-Man, right? And there's so many ways it can go with this. So I mean, one possible way is Teela could be the new champion. So or look at this. Evelyn, as I said, but maybe episode 8 or 9 could turn around and say, okay, well, this was all, the sorceress thinking forward. She, seeing that, maybe they spoke about a contingency plan, saying, hey, Skeletor always seems to find a way back like Thanos. You can't kill him, or Darkseid. Every time you think you kill him, they always come back.
Real talk.
So it could have been a plan from what they said before. I said, hey, if we come across scenario X where Skeletor comes back for some reason, team up with him again. Don't let him judge your, doubt your loyalty. Just play it off. You've been doing well so far. Just follow his plan. See what he's going to do. Usurp his plan. Stop it, and bring back magic. So this way we can finally get rid of Skeletor for once and for all. So let him go through with his plan, kind of backstab Skeletor, and it might play out into simple scenarios. That Evelyn, or let's go back, let's just call her Lynn, she might become the new sorceress. Because the sorceress is getting old. She's got to go. You realize she's getting old, right? So let's just say they're trying to replace the sorceress. And hear me out. Because maybe her and Tila have that talk, and it's like, Tila, well, you're my daughter. And it's like, yeah, well, I always suspected that, blah, 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 dealt with that. Okay, but Mom, I don't want to be the sorceress. I'm not a magic person, so it could come in a couple of scenarios. That Lynn could be the temporary sorceress, to be the new guardian of Castle Grayskull, while her mom teaches her magic to eventually take over that role. Maybe Tila might just walk away from magic and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go back to just being a man-at-arms for the castle. We don't know what's happened to Adam's parents and what state they're in. We talked about that in part 1.
Right.
So Adam showing up, even if he's on death's door and all that, he might turn around and say, well, Dad, I'm Prince Adam, and his dad might be happy, angry. We don't know what his mom and dad are going to say when they see him again or hear about him coming back and finding out, talking about him being He-Man all those years. His dad might step down as king and retire, and Prince Adam might go from Prince Adam to King Adam. So if he's a king, he's not going to be out there as He-Man risking his life. So he might be King Adam, and Tila, might take the power sword and be a new version of He-Man, right? Lo and behold, they might bring back She-Ra.
Yep. Yeah, completely.
She's already got the power sword, and say, hey, we need you to be guardian of this one. How's things with Hordak over there? We've taken care of it. We don't know. So there's a lot of different ways this can go, and I'm looking more to see the trailers to kind of get a feel of which way it's going to go.
Right.
So that's my wrap up on that.
So you know what? I'll add to that in the sense of, because you brought up the point of, we don't know what the plan was from the beginning. We don't know if Sorceress might have implemented his plan. Like you said, if scenario X comes in, or in the sense that we're going back to Thanos and Doctor Strange, and realizing I need that. It's not the power gem. Which is the gem that, what's the name of the gem that Doctor Strange had? I can't remember off the top of my head. It's a green one, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, but basically, yes. Strange basically gave that up. And when the Ancient One realized, wait a minute, Strange gave up just like that, there had to be a plan. He foresaw something that we just didn't know, and we had to let it play out. So that literally is a Thanos / Doctor Strange moment at that time. So for all we know, there's a plan set in motion. And Kevin, we know that's where you're going. We know you're doing that. You're not letting us know. You're being sly. We're watching you, but we know that's what you're doing. And let it play out, because that has to be it. That has to be it. We're not going to end off Massive Universe. I can't see us ending off Massive Universe in that particular standard. No. You're gonna let the evil side, let the forces of evil get their power. He was striving for that for how many years? How many years? Being a disciple, a follower of Hordak, and he never got the power, respect that he wanted from Hordak. He's been striving on and turning up to have the power of Grayskull. Okay, congratulations. Episode 5, you now have the power. Be gone. You have the power for the next 3.5 episodes. By episode 8, episode 9, the power is going to switch back.
Yeah.
Or basically by 9. So you have another 3 episodes, the next 3.5 episodes. Go have your fun. Enjoy. Have your cake. Eat it. But we're going to take it back at the end.
Exactly. Have your cake, eat it, but guess what? We didn't give you any milk. What? Exactly.
Choke on that. Choke on that. Choke on that with your bony neck.
Oh, shoot. Well, that brings us to this point. So I agree. We're going to look forward to the trailer. I'm still Team Yay on this episode, on these episodes that came out. Kevin Smith, good stuff, but you almost killed me. as when you almost killed me. Like Fluffy, Fluffy Gabriel Iglesias, when he told that story, it's like, oh, Mr. Fluffy, you almost killed me. Yeah, Kevin, you almost killed me. So on that note, thank you very much for everyone for tuning in. Thank you very much for liking and putting in your comments on our links below. So you'll find our Instagram, YouTube. Obviously, you're on the YouTube, but Instagram, Twitter, Facebook pages. Show some love to, Rod on Wednesdays and other nights he pops up and DJing. You know what I mean? And this is the Iconist Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, this whole world started with a pencil, a piece of paper, and imagination. Keep on dreaming.
Dream on, people. Dream on.
Yeah, I think we're dreaming. Dreaming of a future in Eternia. Power sword.
Other powers of Grayskull. I am Skeletor, my battle armor. I
Oh my gosh. Take care, everyone.
Skeletor, 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 Skeletor. Skeletor.
Nice.